Hello dear students, myself Ramavatar Meena. Welcome to today's class. Today we will read the third chapter of the political science of ninth class constitutional design. Dear student, in this chapter we ask some basic questions about the constitutional design of a democracy. Why do we need a constitution? How are the constitutions drawn up? Who designs them and in what way? What are the values that shape the constitutions in democratic states? Once a constitution is accepted, can we make changes later as required by the changing conditions? So let us start this chapter. Dear students, first of all we know what was Nelson Mandela's ideas against discrimination. I have fought against white domination and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve, but if need be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. Dear student, Nelson Mandela was the South African leader of African National Congress, fought a long battle against apartheid. He and 7 other leaders were sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964 for daring to oppose the apartheid regime in his country. He spent the next 28 years in South Africa's most dreaded prison, Robben Island. Then next point, struggle against apartheid. Dear student, during the 18th and 19th centuries, the trading companies from Europe occupied it with arm and force in the way they occupied India. But unlike India, a large number of white had settled in South Africa and become the local rulers. The system of apartheid divided the peoples and labeled them on the basis of their skin colors. The native people of South Africa are black in color. They made up about 3/4 of the population and were called blacks. Beside them, two groups there were peoples of mixed races who were called colored and peoples who migrate from India. The white rulers treated all non-whites as inferiors. The non-whites did not have voting rights. Then next, oppressive system for the black. Dear student, the apartheid system was particularly oppressive for the blacks. They were forbidden from living in white areas. They could work in white areas only if they had a permit. Trains, buses, taxis, hotels, hospitals, school and college, libraries, cinema halls, theaters, swimming pools, and public toilets were all separate for the white and blacks. This was called segregation. They could not even visit the churches where the whites worshipped. Since 1950, the blacks, colored, and Indian fought against the apartheid system. They launched protest marches and strikes. The African National Congress (ANC) was the umbrella organization that led the struggle against the policies of segregation. This included many workers' unions and the Communist Party. Many sensitive whites also joined the ANC to oppose apartheid and played a leading role in this struggle. Several countries denounced apartheid as unjust and racist, but the white racist government continued to rule by detaining, torturing, and killing thousands of black and colored peoples. Then, as protest and struggle against apartheid had increased, the government realized that they could no longer keep the blacks under these rules through repression. The white regime changed its policies. After that, discriminatory laws were repealed, ban on political parties, and restriction on the media were lifted. After 28 years of imprisonment, Nelson Mandela walked out of the jail as a free man. Then, towards a new constitution. Finally, at the midnight of 26th April 1994, the new national flag of the Republic of South Africa was unfurled, marking the newly born democracy in the world. The apartheid government came to the end, paving way for the formation of a multiracial government. After the emergence of the new democratic South Africa, black leaders appealed to fellow black to forgive the white for the atrocities they had committed while in power. They said, "Let us build a new South Africa based on equality of all races and men and women and democratic values, social justice and human rights." Dear student, after 2 years of discussion and debate, the came out with one of the finest constitutions the world has ever had. This constitution gave to its citizens the most extensive rights available in any country. Dear students, this is the South Africa's preamble. You can read these videos by pausing it. Then next, what is constitution? The supreme law of a country containing fundamental rules governing the policy and society in a country. Then next point, importance of constitution means do we need a constitution? Dear student, constitution is the supreme law that determines the relationship among peoples living in territories and also a relationship between a people and government. A constitution does many things. First, it generates a degree of trust and coordination that is necessary for different kind of peoples to live together. Second, it specifies how the government will be constituted, who will have power to take which decisions. Third, it lays down limits on the powers of the government and tell us what the rights of the citizens. Fourth, it expresses the aspiration of the peoples about creation a good society. So all countries that have constitutions are not necessarily democratic, but all countries that are democratic will have constitutions. Dear student, in this picture you can see in both maps what is the difference between the map before and after 1947. Now next point, making of the Indian Constitution. Problems faced while making Indian Constitution. Dear student, the making of the Constitution for a huge and diverse country like India was not an easy affair. At that time, the peoples of India were emerging from the status of subject, so that of citizens. The country was born through a partition on the basis of religious differences. This was a traumatic experience for the peoples of India and Pakistan. The merger of these princely states was a difficult and uncertain task. When the constitution was being written and future of the countries did not look as secure as it does today. Dear student, next point, the path to constitution. In 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders drafted a constitution for India. In 1931, the resolution at the Karachi session of a Indian National Congress dwelt on how independent India's constitution should look like. Both these documents were committed to the inclusion of universal adult franchise, right to freedom and equality, and to protecting the rights of minorities in the Constitution of Independent India. Then, years of thinking and deliberation on the framework of the Constitution had another benefits. Our leaders gained confidence to learn from other countries, but on our own terms. Many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of French revolutions, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, and the Bills of Rights in the US, the socialist revolution in Russia had inspired many Indians to think of shaping a system based on social and economic equality. After that, the making of Indian Constitution. First, the Constituent Assembly. Dear student, the drafting of the documents called the Constitution was done by an assembly of elected representative called the Constituent Assembly. Elections to the Constituent Assembly were held in July 1946. Its first meeting was held in December 1946. Soon after, the country was divided into two parts, India and Pakistan. The Constituent Assembly was also divided into two parts, Constituent Assembly of India and that of Pakistan. The Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members. After that, then a drafting committee chaired by Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution for discussion. Several rounds of through discussion took place on the draft constitution clause by clause. Dear students, after that the assembly adopted the constitution on 26th November 1949, but it came into effect on 26th January 1950. To mark this day, we celebrated January 26th as Republic Day every year. Dear student, it is very important. January 26th as a Republic Day every year in our country. Then next, why should we accept this constitution? Over the last 64 years, no large social groups or political party has ever questioned this legitimacy of the constitution. Constituent Assembly represented the people of India, no universal adult franchise, but fair geographical share of members from all the regions of the country. Assembly represented members from different language groups, castes, classes, religion and occupation. Finally, the Constituent Assembly worked in a systematic, open and consensual manners. Dear student, more than 2000 amendments were considered. The members deliberated for 1014 days, separate over 3 years. Every document and word spoken in Constituent Assembly has been recorded and preserved, which is called Constituent Assembly debates. These debates provide are 12 bulky volumes. Now next, guiding values of Indian Constitution. At this stage, let us begin by understanding the overall philosophy of what our Constitution is all about. We can do this in two ways. We can understand it by reading these views of some of our major leaders on our Constitution. But it is equally important to read what the Constitution say about its own philosophy. This is what the preamble to the Constitution does. Let us turn to this one by one. Then next, the dream and the promises. Mahatma Gandhi was not a member of the Constituent Assembly, yet there were many members who followed his vision. Years ago, writing in his magazine Young India in 1931, he had spelled out what he wanted the Constitution to do. Bhimrao Ambedkar also criticized Mahatma Gandhi and his visions. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru gave a speech on midnight of August 15, 1947. He started, "When the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. Freedom and power brings responsibility. Service of India means service of the millions who suffer. The ambition of the greatest man of our generation has been to wipe every tear from every eye." Then next point, preamble of the Indian Constitution. Dear student, the preamble of the Constitution read like a poem on democracy. It contains the philosophy on which the entire Constitution has been built. It provides a standard to examine and evaluate any law and action of government to find out whether it is good or bad. It is the soul of the Indian Constitution. Let us read the preamble of our Constitution very carefully and understand the meaning of each of its key words. First keyword of preamble: sovereign. Peoples have supreme right to make decision on internal as well as external matters. No external powers can dictate the government of India. Then secular. Citizens have complete freedom to follow any religions, but there is no religion. Government treats all religions, beliefs and practice with equal respect. Then democratic, a form of government where people enjoy equal political rights, elect their rulers and hold them accountable. The government is run according to some basic rules. Next, justice. Citizens cannot be discriminated on the grounds of caste, religion, and gender. Social inequalities have to be reduced. Next, liberty. There are no unreasonable restriction on the citizens in what they think, how they wish to express their thought, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action. Then next, equality. All are equal before the law. The traditional social inequality have to be ended. The government should ensure equal opportunity for all. Then last, fraternity. All of us should behave as if we are members of the same family. No one should treat a fellow citizens as inferior. Dear student, last topic is institutional design. A constitution is not merely a statement of value and philosophy. A constitution is mainly about embodying these values into institutional arrangements. It is a very long and detailed document, therefore it needs to be amended quite regularly to keep it updated. Those who crafted the Indian Constitution felt that it has to be in accordance with people's aspiration and change in society. They did not see it as a sacred, static and unalterable law. So they made provisions to incorporate changing from time to time. These changes are called constitutional amendments. Then the constitution describes the institutional arrangement in a very legal language. The Indian constitution laid down a procedure for choosing person to govern the country. It defines who will have how much powers to take which decisions, input limits to what the government can do by providing some rights to the citizen that cannot be violated. Dear student, this chapter is over. I sincerely hope that you have understood this chapter well and you know how the Constitution of South Africa and India was made and how important the Constitution is for us. Dear students, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updated. Hit the like button and share with your friends also. Stay home, stay safe. God bless you all. Jai Hind.